Today, I want to take a look at the teams that are getting the best odds to win the 2022 National Championship. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner
What's up, kidfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about the teams that are getting the best odds to win the 2022 National Championship. Some of them are names that you know for sure. Some of them are in a championship window right now. I'm excited to get to that. Also want to thank all of you that saw me on the halftime portion of the watch party on CFB on Fox. Had a lot of time chopping up NFL draft prospects with Joel Klatt. You can go over to that channel and watch that segment. I think it's like 20 minutes, so get you some time. It's about 2 hour and 6 minute mark. Also, I wrote about Devontae Smith and the outstanding performance he gave, where he secures the offensive MVP in the first half with 215 yards, 3 touchdowns, 12 catches. Remarkable display from him, not just in the national championship game, but this season. And you can read my way too early top 25 over at foxsports.com. Already getting some angsty fans, and I can't wait to unpack that here on the show for you. But let's talk about these teams that have the best odds to win the national championship. At the bottom here, we're talking about plus 5,000 Michigan. There's a lot that Michigan's going to have to do to get to a national championship, not the least of which is find a defensive coordinator that is going to get them into the game. That is the game, right? Because until you can stop Ryan Day's high-powered offense, we can't even talk about Michigan winning a national championship. Oregon getting plus 4,000. That might actually be good value because I really like what Mario Cristobal returns. I understand losing Andy Avalos as defensive coordinator is going to impact you a bit, but Joe Moorhead is returning as offensive coordinator. Tyler Shuck is back. Kayvon Thibodeau might be the best edge guy in the 2022 draft, and I really love his game. Noah Sewell is awesome at middle linebacker, and Justin Flo ought to be coming on. So take a look at them. USC at plus 4,000. I'm not so high on this. Keaton Slovis is returning, but not a whole lot else other than Brew McCoy. They're going to have to figure it out on defense. I really love Chris Steele at corner, but there's some work that USC is going to have to do for me to believe that they can contend for a national championship. Texas A&M at plus 3,500. This is about quarterbacks, right? They return a bunch on both sides of the ball, and that A&M defensive line was just outstanding. Mike Elko doing a job in 2020. But Jimbo Fisher's going to have to turn Eli Stower or Haynes King into a Heisman finalist to get into the national championship game. He's capable. Did it with Jameis Winston at Florida State, and year 4 is the magic year for him, so we'll see. Iowa State at plus 3,000. That's sexy right there because Matt Campbell turned down the opportunity to interview for the head coaching job with the New York Jets. He returns unanimous All-American at tailback Breece Hall, Brock Purdy at quarterback, Charlie Kolar at tight end. He gets Greg Eisworth back for another year of eligibility at safety. Mike Rose, the best linebacker returning in the country for me, had 5 interceptions last year. And Will McDonald IV had 10.5 sacks. There's a lot of reasons to like Iowa State, and I expect them and Oklahoma to get to the Big 12 championship. More on them again, but the Big 12 champion ought to be in the college football playoff in 2021. Notre Dame getting plus 3,000. New defensive coordinator, Marcus Freeman. I think they're going to be okay. Depends on what you get out of Drew Pine, how much you like him. For Brian Kelly, we'll see what Notre Dame looks like early as they got games against Cincinnati and Indiana to start. Florida getting plus 2,500. I don't like it. They're losing almost everybody, right, on the offense. We're talking about losing Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney, Trayvon Grimes, and on it goes, to say nothing of guys that are early entrants on the defensive side. And we even had a couple go into the portal. I'm out on Florida. The way that I feel about them this year is the way I felt about LSU last year, who, by the way, is not getting good odds here. So you might actually go find where you could find some odds for LSU, because I think perhaps 10 games is where they're looking, because their non-conference schedule is easy. And if they can beat everybody but perhaps Alabama and A&M, or get lucky against both of those teams, you're talking about getting back to the national championship. Depends on who their defense coordinator is also as well. Jake Peets, I think, is going to be okay. DJ Mongas, I think, is going to be pretty good. You got to get a really good defensive coordinator because they have talent. They're really talented. Oklahoma at plus 600. Pretty good. This is the national championship window for Oklahoma, and I'm big on coaching continuity and wide receiver returning production. Those two things tell me a lot about what you can do in as far as chasing national championships. Oklahoma manages to fend off Texas to keep Dennis Simmons as the associate head coach and outside receivers coach. You keep Bill Bedenbaugh as your offensive line coach. You lost Shane Beamer, but you're able to make up that because he coached H-backs and special teams, right? Which is not necessarily a play caller. You kept Alex Grinch away from the likes of Arizona and other jobs that came open. And you return guys like Marvin Mims, Jaden Hazelwood, Theo Weiss, and of course, the Heisman finalist, or I expect to be a Heisman finalist, in Spencer Rattler. We'll see, right? I think he's going to go for 4,035 touchdowns minimum in 2021. Georgia also getting plus 600. Those are two teams I expect to be in the playoff. Like, really. Georgia and Oklahoma have the window open now. It's about whether or not JT Daniels can learn to become a better quarterback and go through his reads quicker and see coverages cleaner and really go from a guy that is reading one side of the field to reading right to left or left to right. Just go through your progressions, right? Ohio State at plus 550 is surprising to me because they don't return a quarterback, but they do return a ton of wide receiver production, and they're going to have their staff mostly intact, right? Like, there's a lot of reasons to like Ohio State. It's really about the kiddo from Rancho Cucamonga, California, C.J. Stroud, or Jack Miller from Arizona, and what they might do. Kyle McCord might actually be good enough to beat them both out as a true freshman, and that 21 class is ridiculous. Adding Emeka Egbuka, Travion Henderson, and the like is going to make that offense really pop. Clemson at plus 400. I think DJ Uiagalelei is the most talented quarterback in all of football, period. I saw what I need to see against Boston College when he brings them back from 18 down to win that game in one where Travis Etienne can't run the ball. And I know what I'm getting in Clemson and ACC. 6 straight ACC championships and basically able to punch their ticket without really showing much to the playoff, which is one of the reasons they've been pretty good in the playoff, I think. And then Alabama at plus 320. You're going to redo the offensive line. You got a different play caller. It's going to be Bill O'Brien, right? Bryce Young is much more mobile than Mac Jones, who's not mobile at all. You lose Devontae Smith. You lose Jalen Waddle. You're going to have to do a lot with John Mechie III and Slade Bolden and Jaleel Billingsley, but I think that's going to help you tremendously. You got to replace Pat Surtain as the dominant cornerback and best defensive player in the SEC, along with Daniel Wright. Hope that Jordan Battle grows a little bit more. Hope that you can get a Shane Lee, perhaps next to Christian Harris, and see what you can do. But this Alabama team was an all-timer. I have them ranked number 1 in my way too early top 25, but that's because coaching continuity and what I know about Bryce Young is he can sling it, and they've always got dudes, and that 21 recruiting class is the best in the country yet again. They get some production out of those guys early, along with Trey Sanders in the backfield, Jace McClellan in the backfield. We'll see if Brian Robinson returns. If he doesn't, if he does, I expect him to be the bell cow back. All right, that is it for me. Doses.